Picture this. You've planned the perfect getaway, saved up for months, maybe even dreamed of retiring somewhere tropical, only to discover that your American passport has become more of a liability than a golden ticket. Here we are in 2025, and something unprecedented is happening around the world. Countries that once welcomed Americans with open arms are now showing us the exit door. Immigration crackdowns are intensifying, cultural tensions are boiling over, and diplomatic relationships? Well, let's just say they've seen better days. Today, we're diving into 7 nations where being American might get you a one-way ticket home, whether you want it or not. Trust me, some of these stories will shock you. Number 7, Mexico. Not too long ago, Mexico was the ultimate American escape route. Cheap margaritas, stunning coastlines, and a cost of living that made your dollar stretch for miles. But here's what's happening now. Mexico has completely transformed its approach to American expats and tourists. The government recently launched aggressive visa enforcement campaigns targeting Americans who've been bending the rules. We're talking about mass roundups in popular expat communities, with immigration officers conducting surprise inspections in places like Puerto Vallarta and Playa del Carmen. But it's not just about paperwork violations. Local communities are pushing back hard. Rising housing costs, cultural insensitivity, and what locals call gringo pricing have created serious resentment. I've seen footage of entire neighborhoods where Americans not welcome signs have appeared overnight. Property owners are refusing to sell to U.S. citizens, and some towns are actively discouraging American tourism. One woman from California told me she was asked to leave her rental after neighbors complained about her loud English conversations. She'd been living there peacefully for 3 years. Number 6, Thailand. Thailand used to be every digital nomad's dream destination. Affordable street food, beautiful temples, and that famous Thai hospitality. But 2025 has brought a complete 180-degree turn in how Thailand treats American visitors. Bangkok and Chiang Mai have become enforcement hotspots, where authorities are specifically targeting Americans working remotely on tourist visas. The penalties? Immediate deportation and multi-year entry bans. New financial requirements have also priced out many Americans who relied on Thailand's low cost of living. You now need to prove substantial savings and income, something many location-independent Americans simply can't demonstrate. I spoke with an English teacher from Texas who'd built a life in Phuket over 6 years. She learned the language, contributed to her community, even started a local charity. Last month, she was given 72 hours to pack her life and leave. Her visa renewal was denied without explanation. Number 5, Spain. Spain represented the European dream for so many Americans. Tapas, siestas, and that Mediterranean lifestyle we all envy on Instagram. Well, wake-up call. Spain is now one of the toughest European countries for Americans trying to establish residency. The famous 90-day Schengen rule is being enforced with military precision. Americans who used to hop between European countries to reset their tourist status are now being flagged by sophisticated tracking systems. Spanish immigration has also started cross-referencing data with other EU nations. If you've been playing the visa game across Europe, they know about it. Even legitimate applicants for Spain's new digital nomad visa are facing rejection rates above 60%. The requirements have become so strict that many Americans are giving up before they even apply. A retired couple from Florida spent 2 years and over $15,000 trying to get Spanish residency. Their application was rejected 3 times for increasingly minor documentation issues. They're now looking at Portugal instead, if they'll have them. Number 4, UAE. Zero tolerance policy. For years, Dubai positioned itself as the ultimate luxury destination for wealthy Americans, a glittering oasis where you could shop at the world's largest mall, dine at Michelin-starred restaurants, and live tax-free while enjoying year-round sunshine. But here's what's happening now. The UAE has implemented what can only be described as a zero-tolerance approach to cultural violations, and Americans are learning this the hard way. Let me break down exactly what's getting Americans in trouble. First, there's the dress code enforcement that's become extremely strict. Women wearing shorts, tank tops, or revealing clothing in public areas, even in supposedly tourist-friendly zones, are being approached by authorities. Men wearing shorts in government buildings or religious sites face immediate fines. Public displays of affection have become a major flashpoint. We're talking about simple things like holding hands, hugging, or kissing goodbye at the airport. What Americans consider normal behavior can result in immediate detention and deportation proceedings. Social media violations are particularly devastating for American influencers and content creators. The lifestyle blogger I mentioned earlier, she had over 300,000 followers and was documenting her Dubai lifestyle. Her poolside photos showed her in a bikini at what she thought was a private resort. The authorities didn't see it that way. She was arrested at her hotel, spent 14 days in Al Awir Central Jail, paid $8,000 in fines, and received a lifetime ban from all UAE territories. But it gets worse. The UAE is now actively monitoring social media of visitors and residents. Americans who post content that could be interpreted as mocking local customs, complaining about UAE laws, or showing anything deemed immoral are being tracked down and prosecuted. Work permit violations have become another major trap. The UAE's Golden Visa program attracted thousands of American remote workers who thought they could live in Dubai while working for U.S. companies. The UAE has also started sharing information with other Gulf countries. Americans deported from Dubai are finding themselves automatically banned from Qatar, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia as well. Number 3. Philippines, nationalism rising. The Philippines and America share deep historical connections that go back over a century. Military alliances, cultural exchanges, trade partnerships, and millions of Filipino Americans calling the U.S. home. For decades, Americans were welcomed as investors, retirees, and honored guests. But a wave of nationalist sentiment is fundamentally changing this relationship, and American expats are discovering they're no longer as welcome as they once were. Let me explain what's really happening on the ground. The Philippine government has launched Operation Foreign Compliance, a comprehensive review of all foreign-owned businesses and property arrangements. Americans who thought they'd cleverly navigated property ownership laws through Filipino spouses or corporate structures are finding these arrangements systematically dismantled. Here's a specific example. A retired police officer from Nevada had been living in Bohol for 8 years. He'd purchased beachfront property through his Filipino wife's name, ran a small resort, and employed 12 local staff. Last year, authorities determined his arrangement constituted illegal foreign ownership. His property was seized, his business license revoked, and he was given 60 days to liquidate and leave. The anti-foreigner sentiment is being fueled by social media and local politics. Filipino activists have created viral hashtags like /Pilipinas, para say, Filipino, Philippines for Filipinos, and Stop Foreign Exploitation. These movements specifically target American retirees and investors who they claim drive up property prices and treat the Philippines like a discount retirement home. The human impact is devastating. A retired teacher from Oregon had built a school in Palawan, educating over 200 local children for free. When new regulations required him to transfer ownership to a Filipino citizen, he couldn't find anyone trustworthy to maintain the school's mission. The school closed, and he returned to the U.S. heartbroken. "I gave my life savings to help Filipino children," he told me, "and they treated me like a criminal." Number 2. China, the new Cold War. The relationship between America and China has plummeted to its lowest point in over 50 years, and American citizens living and working in China are finding themselves caught in a geopolitical nightmare with no escape route. This isn't about gradual policy shifts or bureaucratic delays. We're witnessing systematic purges of Americans from Chinese territory happening so rapidly that even the U.S. Embassy is struggling to keep up. Let me paint you the complete picture of what's happening. Universities across China have received government directives to terminate American faculty members, regardless of their tenure status or contribution to their institutions. Beijing University, Tsinghua, and Shanghai Jiaotong have collectively removed over 200 American professors and researchers in the past 6 months. His story is even more harrowing than I initially described. David Chen had been working for a legitimate Chinese tech firm for 4 years, had all proper work permits, spoke fluent Mandarin, and was married to a Chinese citizen. His access to customer database information, something he'd been handling routinely for years, suddenly became evidence of espionage activities. The surveillance apparatus targeting Americans has become truly frightening. Americans report being followed by plainclothes officers, having their hotel rooms searched, and discovering tracking devices on their vehicles. Phone calls are monitored, emails are intercepted, and social media activity is scrutinized for any content that could be interpreted as anti-China. Number 1. Russia. Complete lockdown. And finally, we reach Russia, where being American has evolved from merely unwelcome to genuinely life-threatening. This isn't hyperbole. This is the documented reality facing Americans in Russian territory in 2025. What we're witnessing isn't traditional immigration enforcement or diplomatic tension. Russia has essentially declared open season on American civilians, treating every U.S. citizen as a potential enemy of the state, requiring immediate removal or indefinite detention. Let me detail the scope of what's happening. Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB, has created specialized units dedicated solely to identifying and removing Americans from Russian territory. These units conduct daily sweeps in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and other major cities, checking documentation and arresting Americans on charges ranging from illegal residency to extremist activity. Sarah was given 48 hours to leave Russia or face indefinite detention in a facility outside Moscow. Her husband couldn't leave because his employment contract legally bound him to Russia for 3 more years. Their children couldn't leave because Dmitry, as the Russian parent, had to consent to their departure, but doing so would result in his immediate arrest for facilitating foreign espionage. The U.S. State Department has issued its strongest possible travel warning for Russia, stating that American citizens face arbitrary detention, harassment, and potential violence, and that the U.S. government's ability to provide consular services is severely limited. They've essentially told Americans, if you're in Russia, you're on your own. So here we are in 2025, witnessing something that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. American citizens being systematically excluded, harassed, and expelled from countries across the globe, not for individual crimes or violations, but simply for carrying a U.S. passport. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analysis of the stories that are reshaping our world. Because understanding these changes isn't just academic curiosity, it's essential preparation for a future that's arriving faster than we expected. Hit that notification bell, because the next country to fundamentally change its relationship with American citizens might be somewhere you never saw coming. And in today's world, being prepared isn't paranoia, it's survival.